We're ready to roll, Gina. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Well, welcome everyone. It's so great to see you. I really missed all of you since I didn't make the last meeting. It feels like it's been a century since, I've been here. So I'm so excited to be back. It was like many of you, wild semester, end of the semester. I'm just happy. We're turning the corner. So we have a, exciting agenda. We have a lot to talk about and plan, especially, as things are improving. I think we have great opportunities to think about programming, engagement, mentoring. So I'm really excited to talk about all these things. But before we go ahead and do that, I want to make sure everyone had a chance to review the minutes from our April meeting. I'll give you a second or a minute if you haven't looked at them. If everything looks good, we can just unanimously approve the minutes. If there are no changes, you can just do a thumbs up if everything is good on your end. All right. Oscar, Richard, Stacy, all good with the minutes? All right, I think awesome. So we can go ahead and minutes are approved. And now we can go ahead and start with our agenda. The first thing, we'll go ahead with the updates, and they're kind of going to overlap with our agenda as well. But in terms of, from my end, the two things I would like to talk about. The first one, many of you know by now, USASBE is planning to have the conference in person at Raleigh, North Carolina, first week of January. I believe it's January 5 to 9, 2022. It's going to be a hybrid, so they're still going to have a virtual component for those who may not be able to travel, or the cost is prohibitive where they want to join the conference and not have to incur all the travel costs. So they'll be streaming the sessions, the workshops. They said if we have speakers who can't make it to a session we're hosting, we can have them join us virtually. So I really like the flexibility that I think a lot of us want to be there in person, obviously. But it's nice as we're planned to know, we have that hybrid virtual option as well. So the thing they're doing this year, and believe Oscar, maybe you were on that call as well. I believe it's January 6th. They're calling it, they have a specific name, sorry. Trying to think, it's not summits, yeah.
Yeah, six.
So they're doing these 6 summits on January 6th. In the past, they used to call these like pre-conference workshops. These are the deep dive workshops, where you can do 2 to 4 hours, bringing speakers, panelists, roundtables. So you can think of it as a SIG mini conference. In the past, we've done this, our SIG with the, venture deal flow finance workshop we've done for the past 2 years. So this would be similar, where we can pick a topic of interest and plan on having, an engaging, informative programming for, our SIG members and USASBE members on that day. So I'm going to pause for a minute here and see, kind of get reaction ideas if we want to do this. And we actually have to let them know by May 28th if our SIG is going to host a SIG summit on January 6th. So my question is, if we're going to do that, what would be the topic? What's of interest? And then is there room to collaborate with another SIG? I know we're collaborating with the venture and finance SIG already. It would be nice to identify another SIG, possibly the social innovation, that could be another one where we have alignment. So I'll stop and kind of get reactions, ideas on what would that summit look like? What do we want to address?
One question, Sharuk, on the summit, would it also be a hybrid?
Yes. So they said if, yes, so we can stream the sessions if people aren't there and they want to attend. I'm pretty sure we can do that. And they said if we have a speaker, for instance, if we identify keynote speaker, they can't travel, they can't be there, we can have them participate via Zoom or whatever virtual platform they're using.
Okay. I think it's a great idea. I mean, if we can collaborate as we have with the venture finance SIG, it would be great. One is a social enterprise SIG. The other I would be interested in is family business. If people are interested in that, I know a lot of our businesses of color are family businesses, quite a few of them.
Right.
So that's a good fit as well.
So if we were to do that collaboration, my main question, kind of to try to identify a topic, an area of interest, so just kind of trying to get some ideas. What do you think would be interesting? Are you hearing from other members, on certain topics, issues that we can bring during that summit?
I'm interested to hear Richard's thoughts. Where's Stacy at? She's there? Stacy? Richard?
Stacy's mom must have shown up. When she finishes dinner, she'll be back.
Okay, thank you. That was sweet of you.
So we're talking about the SIG summit at the
conference
meetings and the conference.
Yeah.
So usually, what would the format of this type of summit look like? Do we have some kind of lines, or because that would determine what type of program we'll set up, whether it would be interactive section or a traditional presentation module?
So we get to decide when we've done the pre-conference workshops. They used to call them pre-conference workshops, which offers a deep dive. Like the regular conference sessions, they're usually like 45 minutes to an hour max. This one we could do 2 hours up to 4, and they are providing lunch for free for all participants. Again, in the past, it used to be you have to pay extra to sign up to register for these workshops. So they're removing that fee, I believe. And then they're providing a lunch for all participants. So we can do like 10 to 12, have a lunch and then continue after for another, hour or 2. When we've done the deal flow, angel VC investing workshop, what we did, we had a panel. We had 4, panelists. Each one presented on a topic, one on the angel investors, one on from the VC perspective, one was about SBI or STTR, kind of getting funding through grants, and one was through like tech transfer and things along those lines. So we had that, the experts giving the overview, and that was an hour and a half. We took a break, came back. We had round tables. So each expert had a table, and they did a hands-on workshop, negotiating term deals or, doing valuations. They actually had a sheet or some kind of exercise, and people rotate. So we had 3 rotations. So you get to meet with the angel, VC investor, half an hour or whatever, 20 minutes. Then you rotate, go to the other expert, and then you rotate again and talk to the other expert. I thought that worked really well in terms of, because people can't sit there for 4 hours, just listening to people speak. So I'm thinking if we do something, it has to be interactive, where you provide the expertise, the overview at the beginning, and then we can have like mini breakouts or round table discussions.
Right. Yeah. So actually like that format a lot. So this may be a wonderful opportunity for us to engage with our members as well. Because right now we have the format down. We just need to figure out which interest group we want to collaborate with for this summit. And so what we could do, perhaps we could do a quick survey of our current group interest groups, our current members. I actually like what Oscar suggests, family business, but I'm not sure whether that's also common interest with other members as well. So this could be a good opportunity to engage them. And once we figure that out, we can reach out to other groups and set out the topic areas that would be relevant for both of the interest groups.
Yeah, that sounds great. So one thought I have, I know it kind of came through some of our previous meetings, the idea of creating, an inclusive classroom, and that starts with, the materials you teach, what books, case studies, speakers, redoing your syllabus, for instance. So I think that seems a reoccurring theme. And I know Meg is not here. Meg and Liz, I had a meeting with them, it seems a while ago. That seems to be of great interest for especially the educators in the room. Like, how do I make sure, my classroom is inclusive? How do we create like an open source, document platform as educators to share resources, best practices? So we could do something on that. And I can see that something, can be very interactive, where you have a session of, sitting together, figuring out your syllabus or case studies or discussing some of these things. So that's definitely an idea. Another thing I know, we struggle with, when we're talking about, social impact and investing in our communities, is there a framework, how do you do social innovation, so, kind of working on developing a framework for social innovation, investing in the community, working with underserved entrepreneurs, and then metrics, like how do you, what are the success metrics, when you're doing that kind of work. So like these are, I think the things that would be of interest to me. I'd love to hear more ideas. Stacy, what are your thoughts, like hearing all of this? So we're talking about this SIG Summit, the 4-hour pre-conference workshop.
I think that's all wonderful. And I think we can collaborate with the social entrepreneurship group with the social innovation. That would be great. And I love inclusion. I love that because from the standpoint of diversity, we're working more so on inclusion, not just representation. So right. Do that. I think that is relevant. I think, is there some way we can make it a certificate?
That's a good question. Maybe, I don't know what are the requirements. I know USASBE does certificates.
Yeah, and I'm not saying USASBE, just maybe from us, because people need things for their Vita or things like that. And if they take that 4 hours, like you're saying, Richard, they're taking that 4 hours, in other places, they could get something that's more tangible than I just attended a workshop, right?
So, I mean, I love the idea. I would be open to it. The question is, who's granting the certificate? Is it us, USASBE?
I think it should be us.
Okay.
Well, it could be us, and it could be USASBE as well. I think that's something we could take up with Julie and the team, and those are things. If you're going to offer value, I'm working on curriculums right now for various training programs. That's one of the things you have to offer is if you want people to invest their time and money continuously, you have to offer. That's one of the values that you offer is the certification, and
or
everybody's
CEU,
yeah.
continuing education units. I don't know if some people.
Yeah, I mean, even if you can't get that, at least some recognition that you attended and the organization appreciated it, and therefore, even if we don't have the CEUs, we recognize the value and we recognize your attendance. At minimum, is important for folks to get that, and that's pretty. I mean, that really needs to be done.
Right.
I mean, in my
Especially
opinion,
if they stay through the whole thing. Like it's an incentive for them to stay for the whole thing. I like the interaction, but it also is something tangible for your time. And if the scholars that are part of this and the practitioners that are part of this are saying this is the latest that you need to be able to be inclusive in the classroom or to be socially innovative, then it means something. It means something that people say you've gone through that. Yeah.
Well, I cut you off, but I was going to pick up on what Sharuk said. I like what she said because a lot of what we did with the true storytelling, what Art and I did, we took it further and even did it at his university a couple of times. And a lot of that, the feedback was about the materials. It was about, they didn't have materials. They didn't know, nobody really recognized that they had classrooms that were not inclusive. These are entrepreneur educators. And they just weren't really looking at it that way. Whatever training they had, whatever curriculum the department presented, they just took it as it was. Nobody really thought about it. That's the feedback we got from these trainings we did, the learning labs. And so it's very interesting because I look at all the materials that I work with and nobody really, unless you brought something out of that, outside of your books and the curriculum resources that you provided by the department, really nothing is really represented that way. So we know that's an issue in terms of inclusion, of how our classrooms are conducted. And then the ecosystem, I mean, the ecosystems that we have around entrepreneurship, at least in the community, which is what I work with a lot, it is, you have ecosystems, but ecosystems need to be activated beyond their sort of basic come in, I have some resources for you. Not only do they need to be sort of customer facing, but they need to be more proactive advocates. Where you have the Chamber of Commerce right now, the US Chamber of Commerce is lobbying for something that helps 3% of the small business community. 97% could benefit if this bill passes that Biden has up for infrastructure. But you got the US Chamber of Commerce against it, and they're supposed to be for small businesses. So you have, there's something that we can do in terms of bringing everybody to the table to talk about these things and to rethink or reimagine how we work in this space around social entrepreneurship and ecosystems in that space. That would be fantastic. But I'm all up for that. Everything that's been mentioned, I think if we can put it together and find out who the partners would be, let's go for it.
Okay,
And Sharuk, another idea is if it's I don't know what all the requirements are to get a certificate or a certification. Possibly that's something that we couldn't do in time for the January meeting. But I think that would be a really great goal for us as a group to have, so that I even think about our entrepreneurial centers called The Edge. And we do training here at the university, like for the LGBTQ community. And they don't give us a certificate, but like I have something to put on the door of my office that's just a sticker that says safe zone.
Right.
So that lets everybody know I've gone through the training and that I believe in all of it. And like, you can come to me and be
an advocate,
but it's not a certificate, right? So it didn't have to meet all those requirements. Even now, if we could do something like that, where there's a sticker that like professors can put on their doors, that the equivalent of safe zone.
I love that. Yeah.
To put on the door at The Edge, because The Edge, our center serves the community and students. It says, hey, and then we could start working towards that certificate. And then if U.S. Chamber of
It's
Commerce.
like a badge
Yeah.
almost. Yeah, I love the idea of a badge. And
Oh yeah, badge. of
yeah,
like LinkedIn
right.
stuff.
You know, and kind of
Yeah.
working our way into a certificate and really understanding what it takes to, you know, to have a, inclusive classroom or inclusive center, you know, for an outreach center, to have that certificate. You know, I think that's really awesome. I love the idea. It's a great it does, you know, it kind of, we're only hard to believe, almost 6 months away from the conference, but I love like incremental working our way towards a certificate. And maybe that's something, Oscar, you can take on. That could be your agenda as the chair, to really take, seriously take
To
the,
get a
the
serious,
organization to that
it may
next
take a
step
while.
level, giving certificates for educators or entrepreneurship centers. I think it's a phenomenal idea. I love the idea of starting with that badge, people who go through this, 4-hour workshop. And I think we can have it like two components. One, creating, an inclusive classroom, and then creating inclusive center. Many of us, who are practitioners working in outreach. So I love both of these, and maybe, we can converge the two together at some point, but having, framework for inclusive classroom, framework for inclusive, entrepreneurship center. I think
Certificate
that
for
sounds really
ecosystem.
exciting. That's something like I would love. We're always trying, but learning from others, best practices.
One great thing is, Sharuk, you have a center, so you can kind of be the brainchild for us, trying to figure out how to work it out.
Right, right.
And then maybe if we just focus on inclusion this year at the center level, like you said, or at the classroom level, we can do the social innovation in not a pre-conference thing, but as one of the offerings during the conference.
Right, right.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
So for
that's exciting.
Okay, so for our minutes, I want to make sure, because this was so much good stuff, and I get excited and I forget to write down. So we're going to look at doing a workshop. We are going to do one, and we're going to do it for inclusion in the classroom and work towards a badge for that, with a bigger goal of more later.
Yeah, so inclusive, like classroom / center. I think I would love to do both. And yeah. And then doing that, like the social innovation, like what Stacy did, that could be, it doesn't have to be a workshop, it could be one of the sessions during the conference. I can reach out to the social innovation group and say, we're doing this, would you like to join us? Because maybe they have, some speakers, expert, try to do that collectively. But if they can't, I think we can go ahead and do it ourselves. But I think, I love collaborating, getting different perspectives. So I'll reach out to them, see if they're interested to do this together. If not, I think we can move forward. But it sounds there's consensus to go ahead and do the summit, the MWE SIG summit.
Okay, we're good.
That's exciting.
Great.
All right. And let me see. I flipped my screen. I can't see the agenda now. I see all of you.
I think we have the SIG banquet and awards, and we have, and then we have the venture finance SIG in August. So whichever one you want to take up next.
So yeah, before I would love to hear about kind of get an update from Richard on the venture finance collaboration. We talked about a social mixer in June. That was Meg and Liz as like the outreach chairs, but they're not here. So maybe we can skip that one, and I can follow up with them on it with an email. It doesn't have to be like a big event with a big agenda. I think just having something to connect USASBE has some platforms like where we can do fun social things, breakout rooms. But I'll ask them, see if they're interested in to do this. If not, I think we have plenty to plan. So I won't be heartbroken if we have one less event to plan. But I think it's nice to connect, like a happy hour and just connect more on a social level. So I'll check with them and see where we are. And now I'll turn it over to you, Richard, with the August webinar collaboration with the Venture and Finance SIG.
Sure. So I shared the email with Stephen, and so basically in that email we described the two area that we need to invite subject matter experts on, and I'm still waiting for to hear any update or response on whether people would like to reach out to their networks. So I'm going to send out another reminder after today's meeting, and I'll set a deadline for middle of June. If I don't hear from any of us, what I would do is I would go ahead and reach out to people in my network to see if they are to invite and invite speakers for these sections.
And can you, Richard, remind us what are the areas you're looking at? Yeah, and maybe a follow-up after so we can have it fresh in our minds.
Sure. Yeah. So there are two specific areas. So this section is about emerging funding source. So two areas are special purpose acquisition companies. So basically it's a company with no commercial operation, then it's formed to raise capital through various type of IPOs or other purpose. So that's one area. The other one area is called revenue-based financing. So basically it's also known as royalty-based financing. It's a method of raising capital for business from investors, basically who will receive a percentage of the ongoing gross revenues. So there are two different approaches for entrepreneurs to raise fundings. And I will send another email reminder to everyone and regarding these two areas, and also email letters that Steve have formatted for us. So if you know anyone within your network, you can simply share that, modify the letter and share that with them.
That sounds great. Yeah, that would be very helpful. My other question for you, would it be okay to post this on LinkedIn, like through our, to try to find, because these are like very, it seems like, new emerging ways of, fundraising, like I can't think off the top of my head, but I'm wondering if it, you would be okay if we put it on LinkedIn and trying to see if someone knows someone who does this.
Who should I talk to post this on LinkedIn?
You can, send it to me.
Okay, sure.
We can put it on the MWE SIG LinkedIn group, but also like through our own personal, networks, because you never know. Right. Especially since this is like highly specialized new topic. I'm sure there are people doing this, we just don't know. So if we like cast this wide net, we might be able to find a few good speakers who can talk about this.
Sure, of course.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, if we share it, I'm sure I have some in my network that I'm not working with directly, but because I have a pool of financial people that are guest speakers on various topics for my classes, I know someone probably is involved with revenue-based financing for sure, particularly in those high growth areas retail areas, I know I've seen the platform mentioned quite a few times with high growth retailers as the way that they're funding their growth. So that's, I'm sure they're in there. So yeah, that would be helpful, providing that information. We'll share it and go from there.
Sounds good. That's all from.
What are the other categories, Richard? If I could, I forgot.
Sure.
We had
other categories. Special purpose acquisition company.
Mm-hmm. No, I have those two, but what are the? I thought there were like 4 categories total.
Right. The other category are angel networks.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I believe Steve will take care of all those other 2.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember on the top of my head what the last category.
Probably just venture, I guess.
So
Probably
basically
venture.
you're doing 2, kind of bringing 2 on behalf of the MWE SIG, and Stephen is bringing 2 from the venture and finance.
Right, correct.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
And let me see if, okay, that's great. I was thinking, I had a research paper on, I got to pull that document up just to look at it to see. I was just wondering if there was some general information that we want to provide to the audience in terms of the effectiveness of the various platforms, financing platforms across a diverse community.
Yeah, that's a great idea, Oscar. I was thinking about that. And even if you can't find a research paper, if you have a few people that have utilized some of these tools,
yes,
practitioners that have utilized the tools that can speak to how effective it's been for them if we don't have the research-based feedback.
Yeah. And at minimum, if we don't have it, we need to, whoever's facilitating need to prompt those questions so that we can get some responses in the context of our group. That would be helpful.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds great.
Okay.
All right. So we already talked about the summits. The summit, you know, so I'll move quickly on trying to let USASBE know we want to see if we can collaborate with another SIG for. So the next thing is the banquet and the awards, and I think those are heavily tied to the sponsorship piece. And Oscar and I are meeting with Julie next week to discuss that. But the plan, my assumption is that we are doing this. Pretty hopeful, positive. We will get the DSCF on board again. But if not, we should definitely think about other sponsors. And that's where we need Julie to make sure, if we're asking specific banks or other organizations, there's no conflicts of interest, or that USASBE is going after those prospects. So, I don't want to start planning too much on those before we, get a sense of where we are on the sponsorship piece. But I do, go ahead, Stacy. Yeah.
Remember, we have a little bit of money left on Amazon.
Yeah. Do you remember how much we have left?
It's over 300. I don't have the exact number, but it's over 300.
Okay.
I have the email from where I sent you before that has the exact amount. But
right. Yeah. 300. Yeah. So that we can use that for gifts and stuff like that if we bring in speakers, which would be fantastic. And, for the awards, I think we, there's no financial award tied to them. So we should make sure to go ahead and plan on that. I think Oscar and Stacy, I'm going to rely more on you this year to kind of run the awards so that next year, when I'm not here, like you have a really good sense of all the steps and the emails and the communication. So we're kind of, my thought, we'll do this collectively, the 3 of us, and then, next year it'll be easy. We usually have like the 3, the chair, the vice chair, the incoming vice chair, doing this together so that, you know, we have that consistency. So you know, I think we're just gonna do the same awards we had last year. I have an email from Brittany. She wants to confirm. I want to make sure we're doing the same. We're not changing anything.
No.
That makes it easier.
Yes.
That
Make
sounds
it
good.
easy. Make it easy.
That
No,
sounds
that's,
good.
yeah, that's
The
great.
other thing for the review process, and I'll think of the timeline also. I want to make sure probably we will need to promote it earlier this year because USASBE are pushing, we're tied up, we're using their platform and they're pushing us to do this earlier and earlier, which is good because they can, you know, have the plaques ready, they can have all of these things ready. So I'll check with Brittany on the timelines, but for the award review committee, last year we started utilizing, you know, our past chairs to be part of that review process. And I thought this year, I love the idea of having, you know, a review board or a review committee, you know, a judging committee. But maybe instead of the past chairs, just not to overburden them every year to be reviewers, because some of them I would love to nominate, like Tanya and Art. I would like to nominate them for these awards so they can't be judges. So we could ask previous winners to be part of the review process. You know, Leon, for instance, and Diane, and a few others, Sarah. You know, what are your thoughts on tapping into people who've won the award in the past?
I think that's excellent and brilliant.
Thank you.
Yeah, I ditto what Stacy says. I think it should be, we should be able to just, you know, bring in anyone. I mean, everybody you mentioned, anybody like that is qualified to evaluate
right.
the nominations. So I think that's great. It just
And
gives
that
us
way,
a
you
greater
know,
pool.
we're changing it every year. You know, we're not
Yeah,
asking
yeah,
the
I agree.
past chairs not to burden
Yeah.
them every year. Have to, because as I said, sometimes, you know, maybe they are getting an award. Or
No
we wanna
business case
nominate
needed.
them.
No business case needed. Stacy already said it's brilliant.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
She already said it.
Excellent
So-
and excellent and
So
excellent.
I want to add one thing, Stacy, though. I want to add, I think we need to include an award for the students. I think we need a student category because we're making a push for the students. So I think we need to create an award for students who become activated and really involved with the SIG. We need to start recognizing that because that's something that goes on their resume. And I mean, it'll get them more activated with the group. I think we need to do something.
I think before, I'm not sure, but there was like up and coming awards, like that mirrored some of the awards we have. Maybe it's somewhere else I was, but like, so be up and coming scholar or up and coming educator. And then that way we don't have to rewrite what all we're doing. We just say it's categorized for student. And then
like up and coming MWE.
Yeah.
Best scholar, best up and coming.
I suggest we
educator.
We hand that to Stacy. Sharoop. And I think it will be done quite well, and we'll be all very pleased with it. Thank you.
Okay. All right.
All right. I love it.
You get voluntold, we talk. There you go.
Hey, that's how we roll. Okay.
That's how we roll. Okay, Oscar, I got you.
All right.
Yeah. And I think it's a good segue to the next agenda item, which is the mentoring. And really, we have all those students. I feel we really haven't engaged them well. You know, so, you know, I think the mentoring would be a great way. The award is a great way. So maybe it's all yours now, Oscar, because I know you've kind of taken the lead on this, you know, kind of what are your thoughts, you know, how do we move forward, you know, to really engage and keep nurturing those young students. You know, I don't want to be like a one and done, you know, they attended the conference and then that's it.
Well, what I would suggest, thank you, Sharuk. I would suggest that we develop the formal framework for this. This is new for us, right? We started this. Tanya got it motivated, got us activated. Stacy got us activated. Focus on the students. They're going to fill in the pipeline for us of the future, and we're creating something that'll be sustainable for the SIG, but also for the organization, for those who are interested in entrepreneurship. So it's a beautiful thing. And I think it's something that actually, when we go through the next cycle, we should be presenting to the organization for other SIGs to model that have interest in these subject areas. But anyway, so I'm willing to lay out a basic plan of action for this space, the mentorship, the award piece, which Stacy's doing. We'll put that in the plan. We'll put a mentorship process in the plan, how we can assign mentors across our membership or have outreach to the other SIGs in terms of other interest areas that one may have coming through our SIG. So we can collaboratively do this from a student. So nothing complicated, but basic steps, share it with everybody, give their input. I can start the process for the next meeting, and we can start building that document and have a plan. So I'd say over the next 2 or 3 meetings, we have a plan. We implement the plan starting with the end of this year in terms of going into the awards program, have the student award, have the process set up going into the 4th quarter for mentoring, and let's go. It's that simple for me.
Yeah. Hi, Meg.
Hi, Meg.
Oh, sorry. I thought I was going to be able to. I'm sorry. I thought I had better.
No worries. No worries.
But I'm glad to have internet now.
You missed the party. You missed the big party.
And no worries, we didn't assign you anything yet, Meg.
They were waiting on you to assign you, Meg.
He's good. That's what you should do.
Is that purple hair, Meg?
It is. It's purple hair.
Oh, cool. I want purple.
I like it.
Thank you.
No, we want to go,
It's
Meg.
very
We want to come to
fresh
your
and
party.
summery.
We want to come to your party.
I know.
Yeah, I don't think you have palm trees where you live. Where are you?
Yes. That was the connection problem.
Okay, gotcha.
You're
That's
somewhere
a good one.
fabulous.
That's a good connection problem.
I know, right?
Your office.
Yes. I'm in Hawaii.
Oh.
Excellent. Loving it.
Okay, Meg, we're to talk in the background. I got to figure out how that all went down.
Love that.
Uh-huh.
All right. Yeah,
Oscar,
that's awesome.
Anything on the mentoring?
I'm done.
Out to me. You're done?
I'm done.
Okay, good.
Yeah, let me know if you need anything, Oscar. I think it's
Okay. Well, I'll send it to you anyway, Sharuk, and then we'll
Yeah.
share the first draft.
I think, yeah, what we should do, have like a call for, mentors, for the mentor side, and that could be, both in our SIG or in USASBE, and just outline what are the responsibilities, like
Yep.
as a mentor, you'll be there, as a contact point, at least meet with them once if they're at the conference show, so we can think about as a mentor, what's your role? And then, I think we should check in with the students. I don't want to force this onto them. So we should ask them, are you interested in mentorship? If so, like what area, what kind of mentor are you looking for? And that way, when we do the matchmaking, it makes sense. So
Absolutely.
yeah, and then we can put it out. I'm hoping, by June or July, and kind of get those, conversations, those connections going.
Yeah, I think we can make it happen. Fortunately, I had some experience in that with the Black MBAs. We have a whole mentoring and matchmaking process
Yeah.
been going on for years. So we can model some of that stuff and save us some time.
That sounds great. Sounds wonderful. It's exciting. So Meg, just kind of to circle back to you. Oh, go ahead, Gina. Sorry.
I'm so sorry. I want to hop back on something real quick before we move forward. We were talking about doing the pre-conference summit, and if we give out some type of badge or something like that, Is that something that we need to get sponsorship dollars for as well? Or is that something that USASBE would help us with? And you don't have to give me the answer to that. I just wanted to pose that.
Good question.
It depends on, I think something like, I don't know, we're gonna get 40 people, we have to print a badge or some. I feel confident we can cover it. It's gonna be probably a couple of $100 or so. So I would say let's do it, we'll figure it
Well,
out because it's such a small
yeah.
amount. I'm not too concerned about it.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think the other thing, Sharuk, we're going to talk about sponsorships anyway. So we put it all in the budget and see where we come out. And if we have to go, I mean, my whole thing is that most all the organizations I've been involved in, they have sponsorships for various things. And we just need to know what we're asking for and have a plan of what that ask equals in terms of the sponsors' involvement and return. And there's a lot of sponsors who are interested in the space we're in. So it really isn't, it's up to us if we want to take advantage of it. But I don't think there's any lack of potential sponsors. It's just that nobody's really asking them from, at least my experience so far, from our organization. They're not asking in the space of minority and women. They haven't really asked. But I'm involved with a number of organizations. They have no real limitations on getting resources like that right now, for sure, for the next few years, for sure.
Yeah.
So it's up to us to establish those relationships. And I think the part with the students adding to that, it just enhances the opportunity for the ask.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Right. Anything else on the mentoring side?
One of my students is developing an app that is for coaching, but I wonder if with mentoring, some of what people might want is things to read and reflect on. Like we talked about the reading list, Oscar, that's been really important in, some of the presentations you've had. I don't know if there's a way that we either could have that through like the USASBE website or through an app or something that like a reading list or suggested mindset prompts or something might be something that would be helpful for mentors to have like a set of resources that they could add to.
Yeah, I think Sharuk brought that up earlier in terms of just having that place where this information resides. It could be on an app, it could be several places. But again, if we're looking at developing things, that's something that a sponsor could underwrite. I mean, that student, if they're, they want to get paid, or even if they can develop it on their own, but resources will help us get those things done fairly quickly. And so we won't be searching for the resource, the volunteer or donated resource, with someone underwriting it right away, a totally inclusive program to mobilize and activate this resource sharing that we're talking about, which is so critical now. I think we're all on the same page. I mean, there's just a gap in terms of access to inclusive resources that further advance, at least from the perspective of our SIG, the mission of getting information out to these marginalized populations. So I think that's critical. I think you're on point there with it, Meg. So I think we're all in agreement. Everybody's been saying the same thing. So yes, the answer is yes, yes, yes.
I had one more question on the mentoring, and it may be a phased in thing again, Sharuk, like 2 years from now, Stacy, but along the themes of what Oscar just said about the inclusion and what we were talking about inclusion, it may be that some of the students don't want to do the mentor stuff. It's not that they don't appreciate it, but they don't have the time and the bandwidth. I have some MBAs that they have mentor opportunities and they say they want to do it, and then when school gets going, they're too busy and they don't reach back out to their mentor. The mentees don't do it. So it's really about, do you really want it? But there may be some people that are early career or in career transition that are really interested in mentoring, because they now know, what you don't know kind of thing. So somebody might be interested in starting a center and they need to talk to Sharuk. And maybe it's not a mentor-mentee relationship versus just a call.
Yeah.
No, it's just a call and everybody's interested in this. You set at a time that works for you, Sharuk, and then so you're interested in having a center,
Right. Yeah.
Kind of dialogue. And like I said, the early career, those that are just coming out, so that'll help with that pipeline too, about inclusion. And I love what you said, Oscar, about helping them reach out. And it kind of goes with what Richard has going too. It's like, you may not need the connections within the SIG, you need them outside of the SIG. And so it's outside matchmaking. So that's helping with that inclusion at a whole nother level. And I'm not saying it all at one time, but I want it to be successful. And sometimes the mentees want it, but can't make it happen with what they have going on. So that's just a thought. It might be early career versus just student.
Right. And I really like that, Stacy. One thing we should just double check. I know USASBE has a mentorship program. I've actually looked into it. It was, they have the fellows program. And, as obviously I'm not involved with USASBE, like some of these individuals have been in the field 20, 30 years. And so I know they have that kind of mentorship program for USASBE in general, not specific to, our SIG. So I just want to make sure we're not, if we want to do this, we're not duplicating what's already out there. And if we offer something, how would it be, different and, filling the gap if we feel, okay, this, the mentorship that USASBE has is great, but to me, it sounded great, but it was, to your point, was like time consuming. It was like, I don't, I don't want to, sign up and then, these people committing their time and effort. So yeah, we have to think, I like your idea of a more, like a subject matter expert. It's not a prolonged, process, or involved, but okay, I need to know, we are interested in youth entrepreneurship. I want to talk to someone about it. That kind of thing, I like that. I'm not sure it's mentoring. We can think of how to capture it, but I like the idea.
I love it, Stacy, because I actually applied for the Longnecker, like to try to get a mentor. And because I'm making a transition from industry into academia and everything's completely different. So trying to learn how to navigate this world successfully, but like I didn't get accepted because I'm not a researcher or I'm not following that path. So I think Stacy's right on path. I just was, I say early career because I'm so young.
You are. You can blend in as one of the students.
But I wanted to, because I'm telling you, it's a different, academia and industry are two completely different worlds. Yeah. So trying to learn to navigate it. I love your idea, Stacy, and I would sign up first.
Oscar called it something. He said inclusive. What did he say? Inclusive. What'd you say, Oscar? Inclusive platforms or inclusive? It was something he said that we could use it.
Well, I don't even remember what I said, Stacy.
Well, it's recorded, thankfully.
I think Meg, I think you recorded it, so whatever it was, it must have sounded good. So
yeah, it did sound great, Oscar, and I did not properly record it. But what I got was totally accessible, resource rich.
Yeah.
I
was going to add to what Gina said. I mean, to me, it's the matchmaking between what Stacy said, the matchmaking. And I've done a lot of matchmaking. I mean, we do an entrepreneurial matchmaking tour with the firm that's called Business Matchmaking, which is really for small business owners. And so it goes around the country, and it's a whole process of matching up resource-wise, right? Kind of meeting people where they're at, what they need, where they're at. No general stuff, no wasting your time. This is what I need to hear, and only that. And we match it. And that's what's addressed. And then people feel good about that. They got what they wanted. It was a perfect fit, and they go and they put it in play. So that's like a matchmaking resource center type of thing. and it's open to everyone really for that. But I don't know, like Sharuk said, I don't know what, the fellowship. I don't know all about that.
No, it was helpful to get your perspective, Gina. Yeah, as I said, I thought about it. I didn't apply, but it sounds like really specific to scholars. Like if you're interested in research and having, someone in that field, then in this case, I would say, yeah, we're not compete. There is a gap certainly, because not all of us, are in research, or maybe it's not the research you need help with. So it's good to have that flexibility. So I know we're at 3:02. Just quickly,
Yeah.
Meg, I don't, if anyone needs to go, feel free to do so. But I just want to circle back on the June event. We talked about that mixer. I don't know if you and Liz are still planning to do that, like a happy hour kind of social networking type of event.
We should do something like that. Liz and I need to connect.
Do you need help with that? Is there anything we can do to help you with that process?
I mean, no, and it would be great. Well, I mean, insofar as it would be great to figure out a date that worked for folks.
Okay.
To not schedule when, the leadership team isn't available. So good to see you.
Bye, Stacy. Have fun with your mom. Enjoy. Say hello
Tell her
to
we
her.
said
on our
hi.
behalf.
Say hi, Mom.
Say hello, Mom.
Give her a
Hi,
hug from
Mom.
all of us. 'Cause I know you
Hello.
Hi, Mom.
Hi.
So many hugs.
Have a good time.
All right.
All
Have
right.
fun.
Bye.
Have fun together.
Okay, bye.
Bye, Stacy. All right, Meg. Well, let's, I know we have a meeting June 18th. What if we say, that Thursday, June 17th, like the day before? Does that, like, Jen, we're not gonna avoid any, all conflicts, but what if we do something on June 17th, like from 5 to 6?
Does that work? Are you speaking of, is that Eastern time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I keep forgetting. But usually happy hours, yeah, but we can do it like later, 6 to
I was just curious.
7, or even 7 to 8. I always forget, we have 4 or 5 different time zones with USASBE.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's 9 a.m. where I am right now, so.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Very much America still. Yes, cool. That sounds great. Does the 17th work for all of us at least? Okay. I just did a networking.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I just did a networking event on AirMeet that I ran. That was really good on that platform.
Yeah, and USASBE has a platform, not visible, but the other one, I've been on some of their social events, and it's also really good. They have some fun activities, to engage people, questions. So I'll check with Brittany to see if we can use that. And then, we'll figure out the details. Again, I don't want it to be like too formal or specific, huge agenda. Maybe we can, if we want to add anything, just say, okay, we're planning this summit, maybe get some ideas, that in terms of like creating inclusive classroom / inclusive center. Maybe people can share what they want to hear about, but it's almost like getting feedback, but not too much of a planning. Just have it fun, people connect with each other with no big agenda to plan. Okay, well, that
right.
sounds good. Well, thank you so much, everyone. That was a great meeting. Thank you for, great ideas. I'm really excited, for the next few months. I think it's gonna be awesome. So we have a lot to do,
Great.
but it's pretty good.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, everyone.
All
Thank
right,
you.
Oscar,
Take
I'll
care.
see you in a minute.
Okay. Thank you, Sharuk.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Gina.
Thank
Bye,
you.
Gina. Thank you.
Bye.
Okay. All right. Bye.